Nothing signals summer in New York City more than playing ball in the park. From Dyckman to West 4th to the Rucker and everywhere in between, basketball is a lifeline that pulses us through the city like a heartbeat. And while my hoop dreams are long gone, the game is still a huge part of who I am. And today's guest just so happens to share that same passion. Sports photographer Kim Toledo, better known as Holy Toledo Photo, is one of the best shooters in the game. Nah, she isn't on the court.
Toledo has created a lane for herself in a field that has been widely dominated by men for years, but she isn't letting that stop her. With a portfolio that includes everyone from Carmelo Anthony to D'Angelo Russell, JJ Redick, Duncan Robinson, and dozens more,
Toledo is breaking the mold and giving a new face to hoops media. And while she's not knocking down threes or breaking ankles, she is responsible for making some of those plays come to life. Whether she's shooting the hottest basketball tournaments of the summer, scaling the sidelines at prestigious AAU tournaments from last year's draft night to exclusive workouts with NBA stars, Toledo is the conduit for the nuances the game possesses. Today we'll be discussing her journey in the hoops media, her love and passion for the game, advice to other women in the sports industry, and so much more. So without further ado, I'm your host, Kwari Aline, and welcome to episode 7 of the Up and Coming Podcast. Yeah, I still got it.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 7 of the Up and Coming Podcast. Today in studio, we have a very special guest, the one and only Kim Toledo, aka Holy Toledo Photo, which has to be top 5 nickname of all time.
Yep.
Can you just explain to me how you got the nickname Holy Toledo Photo?
That was my nickname in high school. I played 3 sports in high school: soccer, basketball, and lacrosse. And one day, my sophomore year, my math teacher was like, "Toledo, why do I always see you? You're the first one here, you're the last one here." And I was like, "Well, I play sports." And he goes, "All year round?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Holy Toledo." And then since then, I was like, "Hey, that's me." I will be Holy Toledo.
Right. Now, before the name kind of became a household name, so to speak, who were you before that? Before you picked up a camera, before you picked up a lens, when you were playing sports, before you got behind the camera, who were you?
I was still am an athlete. I still consider myself an athlete, but I was just consistent with sports. That's all I did: eat, sleep, breathe. Basketball was my first love. I was introduced to lacrosse in high school. So.
And you went to high school out on Long Island? Or?
Yeah, St. Mary's High School, Manhasset.
Nice.
Shout
out.
out.
All right, cool.
But yeah, so I feel like my identity is an athlete, and then since I picked up a camera my senior year, it kind of like morphed me into who I'm supposed to be, and now I can't even imagine myself doing anything else.
Wow. Okay. Now, before we get any further, as we do on every episode, we gift each guest with a gift that is very unique to them.
Oh my gosh.
When and shout out to the homie Danny Seminario, aka at Josie the Artist on Instagram. Check her out, super dope. So you're used to capturing.
You're gonna make me cry on camera. Don't do that.
Everybody says that. All right, so
man.
You're so used to capturing others in their elements, so we only felt it was right to capture you in yours. So this is a photo that we took from your Instagram, and she went and did her thing with it as she always does. So definitely go check her out at Josie the Artist.
Thank you, Josie. Oh my gosh. Holy Toledo. Oh my gosh. That is awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Do I look like that when I take pictures? Oh gosh. I'm going to leave it right here.
Yes,
if y'all don't mind.
perfect. Yeah, that's
to
awesome.
me.
Wow. Now I'm looking at it now.
That's sick.
Awesome.
I don't know. I hope I meet you, Josie. I want you to sign it because I've never had somebody give me a picture of myself. So that's pretty awesome. Thank you.
And speaking of that, I was watching the Benchmark podcast that you did, and you spoke about getting into photography because you hadn't seen a lot of pictures of yourself around growing up the way you did. Could you just explain how that process was and what kind of led you to get into photography?
Well, yeah, I mean, growing up in a divorced family, I kind of was jealous of my siblings that have their milestone pictures.
You're the youngest, or?
Yeah, the third one. So that's I'll tell you actually the whole story behind number 3. Yeah. But so I made a promise to myself, and I said, when you have kids or as you grow up, especially iPhones were new. When I was in high school, I was like, you're going to take pictures of everything. And then one day I was actually given a camera, and then I fell absolutely in love with the logistics of it all.
Right.
Then when I found out I could actually make money putting what I love of sports and moments, because I think photography is such an art that it comes to emotion and moments more than anything. So yeah, I was able to tie two beautiful things together, and the fact that I get to do what I love every single day, it's a dream. It's a dream.
That's incredible. Now, do you have an earliest memory of pertaining to photography, or one that kind of sticks out, like that was the moment I fell in love with this art?
Yeah, the day that I picked up the camera. Yeah. So I shouldn't be telling you, but I was not going to my class, and then I decided to go to the yearbook room, and the teacher on staff, she was like, Toledo, can you go outside and grab the soccer guys? And I was like, what do you mean? They're moving, like they're like running. What do you mean grab their picture? Wow. And she was like, sports photography? She kind of was looking at me like, are you serious? Yeah, and I was like, what are you talking about? She goes, go out there, mess with the camera. Yeah. I need pictures for your yearbook. And I was like, okay. And then I'm outside and I'm sitting there looking at everybody. I'm just like, whoa, this is awesome. I was able to capture people laughing, screaming, just happy, just candid. And as soon as that clicked for me, at my school we had like commuters, so everybody would come from one building to the other. I was starting to take pictures of people commuting, all my friends. I'd tell them to stop. I'd be like, hey, let me take your picture. I was trying to take self-portraits at one point. Wow. I spent the rest of my day taking pictures.
Wow. And that was the moment. It was just like, this is what I'm doing. I'm full on this.
Yeah, and then I went back and I was like, can I make money off of this? And she was like, yeah, of course. And then I said, okay, all right, I'm going to figure this out. And I've been locked in since then.
Wow. And that was, 2015, your senior year, or?
2013.
2013, okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
I'm 25.
Okay, I'm 24, so, okay, we're right there.
Yeah.
Yep. So, talk about the first moment you picked up a camera. Your work now is incredible, and I'm sure you've gotten the feedback, and everybody loves it. You work with everybody who is somebody. But just how much better has your work gotten from when you first started to now, and how much have you grown?
Oh my gosh! If I were to look at some of those pictures, I'd probably be like, "You had the confidence to keep going." Right. But I actually go back to images that I've taken, especially in college, because I like to see where I've been. Right. I think that's really important because we kind of forget who we photograph because we do so much. We kind of forget who we interact with, and we kind of forget the feelings. So I like to go back and see, like, all right, Kimmy, like, you've really been through it. Like, you know, like, you went from being solely an artist, identifying as that, to identifying as a sports photographer and an artist, and now translating it. But, yeah, that's kind of, sorry, I'm kind of rambling a little bit.
That was perfect. That was perfect. Now, like, I know with a lot of artists, and even me myself, we're super sensitive about our work. You know, we don't feel comfortable releasing it, but it's really the only way to kind of keep going and have that confidence to keep going. When did you feel comfortable to say, you know what, I want to start posting on Instagram. I want to start releasing my stuff.
When I knew I wanted to be the best, because I knew nobody else would have seen it if I wasn't showing it. Something that a mentor of mine told me in college when I was going to get my master's, he said, there's 1 billion people in the world. If this 100 audience does not resonate with your work, show it to 100 different people. Because you never know who is going to attach to it. You never know who's going to interpretate with it, or me as an artist. Right. So I took that, like, that's something that I remind myself all the time. Like, if you don't like it, that's totally okay. You may not feel the way that I feel.
Art is subjective,
Exactly.
Absolutely.
This person can love it, this person cannot love it, and this person can get inspired by it. Right. So I have a lot of things in my archives that I haven't put out because, like, they are close to my heart. Right. But I do believe that if you share your gift, if you share your talents with others, you can do anything in the world.
Right. That's incredible. Now, for me, you know, both of us having athletic backgrounds, and especially in basketball, I always used to say there's a huge difference between somebody who plays basketball and a basketball player, right? Like, the latter kind of becomes part of your identity, is who you are. You walk it, talk it, live it. For you, when did you feel comfortable calling yourself a photographer instead of just somebody who took pictures? You know, because there is a huge distinction in that.
I will say my first year as a freelancer. So I'm going on my 3rd year as a freelancer. Okay. My first year, it insane. I started with Tobias Harris's runs. I went from that to one-on-one trainings, and I was just like, I can actually do this. Like, you're a photographer, Kimmy. Like, you're a sports photographer. Right. And then since then, I mean, you kind of lose confidence in some things that you do when you, especially in my field, if you don't have work, you kind of feel like, oh, I'm not good enough.
Right, what am I doing? Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm in limbo, I'm idle. But in those instances, I remind myself, like, your first year, people trusted you to take pictures at a high-level run. You know what I mean? So people believe in you. Why don't you believe in yourself?
That's incredible. And you speak about Tobias Harris, another Long Island native like yourself. How did that relationship kind of build, and what did that do for you moving forward with the rest of your career to now?
That was a blessing in disguise. That was, everything I have to say that I've encountered has been such a huge blessing, especially with the people in my corner, the people that I consider my circle. So yeah, from that relationship with Tobias, I have been able to photograph all the Harrises. Like, I love them. I love that entire family. Tori Harris is my favorite because she's the youngest. But yeah, that just developed into a relationship of more than me photographing them. Like, we're friends. We share dreams. And I think that's important because especially somebody like me, like, I'm a relationship person, I'm an energy person, so I'm going to show you who I am. I'm going to always be authentically myself. So the fact that I get that off of people, and then especially that family, like, that's something very important to me. That's something that I want to keep going for beyond photography, like, you know, within their lives, within their families, within mine. And that's what I look for when I look for my clients or when I look for people that I want to work with for a long time.
And how does that aid your work? Because, I mean, I know it definitely plays a part in you being able to not only capture what they're doing, but in essence kind of capture who they are and what they're doing. So how does that help you when you're in the gym with somebody and you're like, I know this about them and I can capture them in this element here? Yeah,
that actually helps. So I think my relationship with an athlete translates into my work. I think how you feel when you're photographing translates into your work. So I said in my Benchmark podcast, if you're bored, I'm going to see that in your pictures. If you're annoyed, angry, something, I'm going to see that because you're photographing differently. So if I know that I have a great relationship with this person, I know what they like. I know the angles they like. I know the angles they don't like. I know when to not be in the way. So that definitely is a one-up for me for athletes that I've worked with for a while. But if it's my first time meeting with them, like I said, I'm an energy person, so I kind of go based off of how they make me feel, and then I go from there.
Gotcha. Now, in addition to Tobias Harris, you've worked with, I literally can't name everybody, like from Carmelo to Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Precious Achiuwa, you've worked with since he came into the league. First off, did those relationships even kind of progress over time? So
P is who I base.
He calls him P.
Precious. Sorry, P. Precious is who I started as when I freelanced. So it was especially that interaction. That was out of the blue. I got a phone call from a friend of mine, somebody I went to high school with. He's a trainer, Dante Agnew, and he asked me to come take pictures of him. And then it was just like that day, they needed a gym, P and Kenny, they needed a gym. They called Dante. I was there. They were like, hey, come to the other side. Let's take pictures. And I was like, okay. I didn't know who he was. And then from then on, like, I was in the gym with them. Like, they're my family, P and Kenny. Like, they're part of my circle. Those are people who I started with. And then from then, like, I feel word of mouth, people sing my work. The other day, somebody told me my work speaks for itself, so I think like that definitely translates into how I got some jobs. But most of my clients and people that I work with are word of mouth. Like, people see something or just like, oh, like, who took your picture, or you know.
Yeah. And just talking about that, you just like talk about being in the right place at the right time for something to happen. How important has that been? Where, you know, because I know as a creative, sometimes you literally don't want to get up and go to a job, or you don't want to go to like, for me, some interviews, I'm just like, the day of, I get super nervous, and I'm like, hoping they reschedule, or I hope something comes up. You just hope something, like, you don't have to go to it, but something beautiful ultimately ends up coming out of it, something you didn't expect. How often or how frequent has that been the reality for you in what you do?
Well, I will be very candid. I'm a huge advocate for mental health, so I definitely battle a lot with myself overthinking. So almost every day. I'm just like, all right, you got to do this. Like, this is what you love.
Right.
But I do my very best for that not to translate into when I'm in the gym or wherever I bring myself. So it's like playing a game. As soon as you put on your sneakers, you put on your jersey, you're locked in. Like, you put your headphones in, you're like, all right, for the next 4 quarters, I'm about to play a basketball game. So for the next 2 hours, I need to tell their story. And I think that helps as an athlete, because they always told us, like, leave all your stuff outside of the gym, leave it all outside. And as soon as you step a foot on the court, this is what it's about.
Right. Now, you graduated from LIU Post what year? That was
2017.
2017.
Yeah.
So when you're sitting in class there, you're taking, I'm assuming you were in sports photography classes there.
No, so LIU Post was a little different.
Okay.
LIU is like more artistry, like
Gotcha.
self-portraits. That's where I became an artist.
Gotcha.
I was definitely a self-taught sports photographer. Everybody was all about interior, or it was portraits or weddings. I was one of a few that were sports photographers.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So was what you're doing now something that you envisioned back then?
Oh my
while
God,
you
no.
was-
Oh my gosh, no. I would have, if you told me that I would have been at NBA Summer League my 3rd year as a freelancer taking a chance on myself, I would have laughed in your face. I would have been like, NBA Summer League? What? In COVID time? That's just, no, that's pretty wicked. But I could have never envisioned myself to consistently like get over all these humps, because like I said, mental health, like you definitely hold yourself back. So the fact that I'm still doing it, going through it with the people that help uplift me all the time, I'm definitely very blessed.
Now you speak about mental health, and I deal with it myself and battle with it myself, and it's so weird that no matter how many times you prove to yourself that you can do something, you get over a hump. When you run into it the next time, it's like, how do I deal? What are some of your coping mechanisms now that you kind of use in your life to get over those humps? Because they're everlasting.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
Recently, I found that I weirdly like to write things down. I would have never guessed that about myself.
Right.
I bought a journal, and then I treat it like a bad play, like a concussion, right? Like you had a bad play, you got to go back and play defense like nothing happened. So I treat it like I have a bad thought, I write it down, and it's kind of like throwing it in the fire, like I forget about it. Music helps. I feel like music is like translucent to everybody. But also finding my love back into photography. So instead of picking up a digital camera, I pick up my film camera. And then I give myself projects. I try to get myself out of, like work. I'm just like, all right, like you love what you do. Remind yourself why you love what you do. Or like remind yourself why you fell in love with it, So those are my top 3. Sleep definitely helps. Helps.
Which we don't get a lot of.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that, but I know as soon as I get a good night's rest, I'm just like, wow.
Absolutely. It's a life changer for real.
Yeah.
Now, I've read somewhere else that there was a point in time you were actually falling out of love with the game of basketball.
Yeah.
So what was that, and what got you back into loving the game again?
The fact that I was able to tie it to something that I could see myself in the future with. So, like politics happened in basketball. I had decided not to play college. I kind of felt really, really lost. I was like, what are you going to do? What are you going to
And your whole
major
identity
in?
is wrapped around sports. It's wrapped around basketball. Yeah.
Exactly. Like everybody around me was getting recruited. Like then I decided, I was like, maybe you'll play lacrosse. You'll be a walk-on. But then as soon as I picked up the camera and I fell in love with it, I realized, how am I going to be able to tell other people's stories while being on a team? Like I would have to eat, sleep, and breathe that sport. And I had something in me, and I can't really describe it, but like I didn't want to let go of that feeling just yet. So I was like, tie it together. That's where it became the beautiful marriage that it is. But yeah, I could have never foreseen this at all. Like at all.
It's really crazy. And to think it's only been 3 years and you amassed, this much success and worked with like I said, literally everybody. And
Not
I
yet.
just got to ask, I was just about to, that's my next question. Is there a list, or is there somebody that you haven't worked with yet that you're like, I need to work with this? Who is that person for you?
Yeah, I'm a diehard Dwayne Wade fan.
Which I know.
Like,
Which I know. Yep.
Diehard Dwayne Wade fan. I worked with his son 2 years ago, maybe,
Okay.
and if I get to photograph Wade and like to be able to just sit
Even
there,
in retirement.
yeah, like
yeah.
he's still D Wade.
He is still absolutely,
like
yeah.
idol right there. Yeah, if I get to photograph him or just have a meal or just a conversation with him,
yeah.
that'd be pretty amazing. That'd definitely be on my bucket list. Now, if
See if
Kobe
we
was
can make
still
that
here,
happen. Kobe,
he
oh my
would have,
God.
even just to meet him, just to be in his presence, that would have been a dream come true.
And that's my dream interview. And you
Yeah.
know, the fact that it'll never happen is like, damn, but you just kind of hold on to what he meant.
Exactly.
You know, while he was
And then
there,
you
yeah.
take what the embodiment of who he was, who he is still, because I feel like everybody is just incorporating Kobe into them now even more
Right.
than ever. But yeah, Wade, Kobe, trying to think.
Is Bron on that list or?
Yeah, like that'd be
Bron-
cool,
okay,
LeBron
yeah,
James.
right.
But I mean, like, I'm sorry, but like when Wade and LeBron, I was
feel you.
watching Wade. I'm sorry.
I feel you. I'm the same way. I'm the same way with Kobe. So I
Yeah,
get it.
everybody was just
I
like,
get
"What
it.
are you talking about?"
Yeah,
but
yeah.
no, yeah, I'm a big fan of LeBron. He's
Yeah.
really cool. But
Okay.
I mean, I just recently actually got to meet Hansel.
Oh yeah.
And photographing him, so like very inspiring young
Absolutely.
grassroots kids are very important to me.
Right.
The kids that I work with now. So yeah, I want to keep that up. I want to keep help inspiring just from the youngest, and then when they get into the league, like keep telling
Right.
their story.
Absolutely.
So I feel
Oh,
like
that's
just
incredible. Yeah, to kind of track their journey
Yeah.
as they ascend. Yeah.
yeah, and I think that's
awesome.
really important because, like I told you, I'm a relationship person. So like I want to see you get to your dreams, and I want to help showcase that dream.
Right.
So I feel like any athlete that like has the same love and like motivation and mentality as mine, I would love to photograph and like tell their story.
Now, when you look across this this sports media industry, it's so widely dominated by men and has been for years. And I think now we're starting to see a little transition. You know, I think Cassie Athena was somebody who kind of was groundbreaking in being a woman photographer, especially in the basketball space.
Mm-hmm.
For you, who were some of the inspirations that you had growing up that, like, I could look to this person to see myself in, who is a woman or doesn't look like the prototypical, you know,
Yeah.
basketball photographer that maybe I could actually do this.
Yeah, my inspiration comes from non-sports photographers,
Right.
which is weird, but
Yeah.
it makes sense since I went to school for it.
Right.
So I am all about like straight up film, people who started it, portrait photographers. I like to take what they do and translate into sports. I didn't really like know much about sports photographers until recently, like really looking at their work, what they go through, how they get to where they are. But being in, I guess, the level that I am, I have met a lot of women photographers, like women shooting for teams, women shooting for big organizations, for arenas, and that's just phenomenal. Like
Yeah.
the fact that, like, I guess, like from me not necessarily knowing who to look for,
Right,
now
right.
I do have like a pool of people that I
network,
can just idolize.
Right.
And I have this one woman that she is amazing. She has helped inspire me off the court, Nicole Sweet Sports. I don't know if you've seen her work.
No, not
She's
yet,
phenomenal.
Right.
She does portraits. Now she's into cars. She does NBA Academy. She goes from like surfing to basketball. Like, yeah, she's a great person too.
Gotcha. Now, being a woman in this industry, has there ever been a time where you might have got a side eye with like, what's she doing here? Does she know
Yeah.
what she's doing? And how did you use that to kind of fuel you moving forward?
Yeah, so that's the story of my life. I feel like I can feel people's opinions on me as soon as I walk into the gym. I also look like I'm 12, so when I walk into the gym, it's just like so many narratives that are out there. But I now truly believe that my work speaks for itself. So you may not know who I am, you may not know why I'm here, but if you are curious and you're going to look and see like, okay, why is this little girl here? You look at my page, you're gonna be like, oh.
I get it now. You're right. Right.
You know,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like that's where I truly believe that I'm just like, I don't have to say anything. Like,
And how gratifying is that though?
yeah.
Like, just like
now
I
I'm
can-
just
yeah,
like,
right,
yeah.
right,
But
exactly,
before
yeah.
I was just like, oh my gosh, why are they staring at me?
Right,
Or like,
right.
why are you so bothered that I'm here? I've actually had a really bad encounter recently over the summer where somebody had the audacity to like speak to me like I wasn't a person, and like he felt he was grander than me, but I'm sure he went and saw who I was, because the next time I saw him, nothing was spoken of. So I like that. I like that because I don't have to say anything. And if you feel that, okay, I can talk to her, then yeah. But if you feel intimidated by me, that's not something I can
Not your
control.
problem. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for other girls who may not have the work to show for it now, what is your advice to them, as they look to maybe get in a similar position that you're in now, or just do anything that in a field that has, kind of been dominated by men for so long? How do they
Stay
break
locked
into
in.
that?
Stay locked in. Stay authentically yourself, because there's no point in being anybody else. And hold yourself as you see yourself. So when I walk into the gym, I'm a bubbly person. So like I'll say hi to you, but as soon as you pick up the basketball or as soon as they turn on that clock, I know what I'm here for. I'm locked in. But then again, you have like conversations during the workout. You just know when to, be personable, when to actually be professional. But as a woman, stay locked in. And it sucks, but we have to keep proving ourselves with every job that we do. So just consistently have confidence in yourself that you're going to get better. And in my line of work, it's a lot about experience. So if I never got to photograph, let's say Mello in the beginning, I would have never known how to photograph Tyler Hero. So it comes with experience. If you want to end up photographing the World Cup, you have to try it. You can't just say like, oh, I deserve to be there. You have to try it. But as a woman, stay locked in, let your work speak for itself, and we're going to take over the world, guys. Like we are.
I love it. Now, I think when we look at creatives in whatever field, again, they may be in, ultimately, I think the common denominator is like starting is always the hardest part. Mm-hmm. And that's what I've noticed with myself. I've noticed with other people I talk to is like that first step is literally the first, because you have no momentum. Yeah. There's nothing pushing you but what's in your head. You have nothing to really show for it. When you were first starting out, what were some of your initial fears that you had about this whole process, about freelancing and literally being your own boss and your own agent and your own everything, trying to make it happen?
Well, it was different for me. So starting off, I was super excited. I just took every job that I could. I went out there and I tried absolutely everything because I wanted to be the best. It's right now that I kind of, weirdly enough, let my fears dictate how I move, but it's not until recently that I'm just like, take it day by day, and I deserve to be here. So, let the fears go into the back of your brain, do what you do, and tomorrow's another day.
Right. And, what have you learned along the way that's kind of made you better at your job, or even better on the business side? Because I know that's such a big part of this industry as well. So what are you taking with you, the lessons along
to
the way?
Be myself, to truly be myself. Not everybody's your friend. They may look like it, they may talk like it, they may sound like it, but not everybody's your friend. And to always be true to yourself, because we can be cool for as long as we are, and then something happens, and then I lose an opportunity, right? It's a bit about reaction. It's about relationship. So if you're communicative, if you're who you are, if, you're that person, there's nothing, I'm not going to say that nothing can go wrong, but it's genuine, it's real.
Now, you mentioned Summer League. You said you just got here from a Ren's practice that they had. I'm going to keep mentioning it because it really is insane. You've worked with D'Angelo Russell, J.J. Redick. This is just off your Instagram page. J.J. Redick, Carmelo Anthony, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson. I'm missing somebody. Precious. Can you just talk to me about how the hell that happens? Like, how does that happen? Like, the initial, I guess I'll just start with Melo. Like, how did that opportunity come about for you?
That was, like I said, everything that's happened has just happened. Yeah. I was at the MBPA for another workout, met his trainer, Alex.
Alex Basil,
So I made it a mission of mine to introduce myself to him, and then I did.
How hard was that for you, being a shy, reserved?
Oh my gosh. I was like, put on your big boy pants and let's go. And we were in the elevator of the MBPA, I introduced myself, and then he sent me a message, and it wasn't even for Mello at that time. It was for his secret engagement for Nafisa.
Wow,
so I actually ended up photographing
Get the hell out of here.
their
I
engagement.
didn't know that. Wow.
And then, yeah, Alex and I have a great relationship, and then I was able to photograph Mello.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So I love doing that. I love it being beyond what I do. Like, I want to be a part of your life, you know, like tell stories outside.
Like, that lasts so much longer than a game photo or anything. That's something they show their kids and their grandkids. So that's incredible, man. So it's sticking along those lines, what has been your most memorable behind the lens moment thus far? I know you have several, but like if you can boil it down to one.
It would have to be P's draft. Like that, just especially after COVID, we were going for so long and everything was so up in the air, and to finally see him get like his dreams
P
come
is
true.
Precious Achua for those.
Yes, Precious Achua's draft to the Miami Heat, and Wicked, because I was working in Miami earlier that year, so everything.
So
Like
the Miami connection wasn't through Precious.
No.
I assume this whole time it was
No.
So that's again just like serendipity is insane. Man.
Like I said, I'm weirdly meant to do this.
Yeah, right.
I'm weirdly
Everything
meant
is
to meet
aligning,
these people. But yeah, I was working in Miami as a freelancer for Hoop MIA, and I was teaching there. And then COVID happened. I had my relationship with Precious and Kenny, and then 6 months later, we're sitting there waiting for him to get drafted, and then he got drafted at he got drafted to the Miami Heat, and now we're just like second year into the NBA, and it's pretty wicked.
Wow, and he's in Toronto now.
Yeah.
What was that moment like for you, just to experience with his family, with his friends, you being a part of that circle? To see was it the first time you saw somebody like drafted in person? Yeah, like what was that
for sure.
that like?
Indescribable. Like I
see
wish
somebody's life change.
Exactly, but not only them, but their people. Like his family was there, and being a part of his life, I felt like, you know, like, wow, we did it. But like, no, he did it. Like all his time, his blood, sweat, and tears, like all of his work, you did it, man. Like you're there. And I mean, it doesn't stop here. You got to keep, you got to keep treating it like it's the first day. Right. But yeah, the entire day I was nervous. I was just going crazy in my own head. I tried my best not to show it, but as soon as his name was called, it felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders. And I'm not even the player. Right. I'm not even the one getting drafted.
You talk about your inspiration, biggest basketball inspiration being D. Wade. Mm-hmm. Now, I know it may be a tough question to answer, but whose game, either former or current player, reminds you of your approach? Their approach to their game reminds you of your approach to your photography?
Well, I treat every day like a new day, and I think that's something that Kobe did. Especially, there was a quote somewhere that Vanessa had said, he was injured and he still went out there to play because like it was a fan's first time seeing him. I kind of treat like mental health is like a little, like something that we battle with every day, and I have to show up every day. I have to show up to do my job and tell that person's story because they're counting on me. So I kind of treat it that way. I've idolized his grit, and as a freelancer, you have to have grit. You got to keep going, and with his mentality and his consistency, I try to translate that into not just my work, but my everyday life, because as a freelancer and as a photographer, what I do during the day is what comes out in my images, is what comes out in my work.
Now, you have a very technical background in photography. Outside of a lot of people who kind of like pick up a camera and just kind of like figure it out, which you did in the beginning, but you have the technical approach that some people don't have, a lot of people don't have. What do you think kind of separates you from other photographers in this, in this industry? And it doesn't even, I guess, have to be directly related to photography itself, but even like you said, the relationship building or being a personable person or being approachable. Like, what are some of the things that kind of separate you from the rest of the pack?
Well, I think me being an artist definitely separates myself, but being an athlete, I played the sport. I played most of the sports that I photographed, so I try to anticipate a move. I try to anticipate an emotion. I know, like, when I hear a certain sound in the crowd, like, I know something's about to happen. I'm a people watcher, so I definitely put that into my work. I look at body language. I look at people's eyes, especially, because they tell a lot. And being myself, I believe I'm approachable, but not many people think that way. But yeah, if I'm consistently myself, I do believe that I'm gonna keep going where I am because people feel personable to me. I'm more than just your photographer, like more than an athlete, right? I'm a person that you can count on.
Now, you have, and I'm just gonna get in kind of like my nerd basketball bag here. You have a very in-depth look into the life of NBA players, of college players, of high profile, of high school players. You know the game kind of like its ins and outs and playing yourself. When you hear critics, whether they be fans or media personalities, calling the 11th or 12th guy on an NBA team a bum, or, a scrub, like, how do you react to that knowing that, like, okay, I was in the gym with the guy who may be the 10th guy on his team, but in the gym, he just went 93 for 100 from, like, you know what I mean? You have a different outlook on that. Like, can you just speak to how good these guys really are?
No, they're phenomenal, and I have to remind myself to be professional because I've actually in Miami, I had an instance, like, I was photographing for this one team, and I could hear them talking trash about my kid. Like, he was my student, he was my player, and I turned around, and then I said something, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're working, you can't do that. So I kind of like taught myself to say things in my head. But yeah, these guys, practice makes perfect, right? So he can feel phenomenal in practice, do amazing, and then just have a bad game. Or vice versa, have a phenomenal game and then goes into the gym and he's missing all the time. So people have to also remember that they're humans. They go through life, okay? So things happen. Mental health, physical, emotional, family, and people tend to forget that, especially during this COVID year.
Or just disregard it completely.
Yeah. So I think if you remind yourself that they're humans, they're not just for entertainment, then you can go back to, just their talents and their hard work, their grit, what they do.
Understanding how great they are despite whatever challenges they may face. Like, I don't understand, because we have our own thing, like not wanting to go to work some days or not wanting to get up and do what we do, and you don't realize how taxing that job is. Like, we're relatively, like, this is relatively easy to sit down and just talk. Like,
a little bit.
Right. Depending on, for me at least. Like, I don't miss waking up at 5 a.m. and going to the gym and having to get up 5. Like, that is grueling work. And the fact that somebody has reached the highest level of that.
And you have to show up perfect every single time, or somebody's going to talk about you, or somebody's going to have something to say.
Somebody could take your spot, or there's just so many factors that play in.
Because you never want to give anybody any ammo to say anything, so you're going to try 150% every single time, and people tend to forget that. We're not supposed to be so accessible to the world. We're not supposed to be 100% all the time. So when people forget that and just look at it as like LeBron James, like, oh, he didn't make that last shot. Like, what about everything else he just did? Why are you just stuck on this one thing?
How quickly they forget.
Completely forgot that you were his fan yesterday.
Right. So for you, I can imagine that, well, I heard on the Benchmark podcast that you wanted to one day, your ultimate goal was to have your stuff in a gallery.
Yeah.
To have your own gallery. When you hear the word legacy, what comes to mind for you?
That's, whoa, mama. That is what I dreamed to leave. Like, I want somebody to look at my image and be like, that inspired me, or that's why I got into photography, or her as a person, or like what she did, the lane that, because I believe I'm in my own lane. I think as a artist, sports photographer, like, I kind of do more black and whites than most. I try to do different things than most professional photographers. I just want to leave something that, like, a younger Kimmy could be like, wow, okay, I can do that, or like, okay, I see myself in her. Yeah, that'd be amazing.
And what would an older Kimmy say to a younger Kimmy now that she has made it here, and she's still
Damn.
going, but you've made it here. What would you tell that young girl?
You're doing it. Wow. And keep going, because those bad days are just going to keep getting smaller and smaller. And I realize as I get older and every single day that I don't react as long or as much to past things that used to bother me. So you're evolving. I would tell her that you are where you're supposed to be. You're with the people you're supposed to be, and to keep going. Because that's the hardest thing to do, is to remind yourself to keep showing up, to keep going, especially in a field that, like, where people applaud you. Like, people love that. People love to be loved. People love to be like, oh my God, you're amazing.
Right.
So once that dies down, you're kind of like, where did I go wrong?
Right.
What am I doing wrong? Is it me? Is it them? And then it's just a whirlwind of things. So I would tell her, like, you got this, keep going, have faith in yourself, and have faith in the people around you. And
kind of sticking along those lines of, like, you know, you love the reaction, but, you know, or the reception that you get from your photos of your work. But that's not initially what got you into it. Like, you didn't get into it for the reception, but it's crazy to think that now that's something we've been conditioned to kind of long for or strive for. Do you ever miss when photography was still new to you?
Yes, and I translate that now. So I used to post on Instagram for the validation of others. Now I treat Instagram like my own gallery. I could care less if I get 50 likes. I could care less if I get 1,000. It doesn't matter to me anymore.
And what looks good to me is what looks good to me.
Exactly. And if I love something, and like I said, I have archival things, but if I love something, I actually time out. I need a full time out. I did this little experiment with my Duncan Robinson pictures. I picked the pictures that I disliked the most, and I posted them. And I knew they were going to get likes because it was Duncan Robinson. Right. So I knew that it was going to do well because of who was in the image. Right.
It could have been blurry or whatever.
Exactly. And that was a very, like, eye-opening thing for me, because I was like, you're right. Because it was validation for myself that nowadays people only care about who's in your frame. Not many people care about the quality. Not many people care about the process. They care if you got LeBron, if you got... I've seen so many images out there that I'm just like, what? But, you know, because it's of that person, it's fire, it's awesome, this, that, and the other. But, you know, to each their own, not hating, you know, like...
everybody has their lane, For you, what have you proved to yourself along this entire journey? Like, was there doubt in the back of your mind that you could actually do it? And what have you kind of proved to yourself to now?
Unfortunately, I can admit that I do doubt myself. But like I said, I'm very blessed to have the people in my corner, especially one of my best friends. His name is Courtney Payton. He works for the Cavs. And to have, especially somebody in that field, he reminds me, like, you got this. So when I am feeling a little disconnected into what I love, I remind myself, like, I love what I do. I'm actually pretty good. Like, people think that I'm pretty good. So, you know, like, take that, and then just keep going. That's so easy to say, but so hard to do. Just keep going, because we're people that like to see what's at the end. I definitely am somebody who likes to look at the end of the book, or doesn't mind somebody telling me the end of a movie. I like to see what I'm expecting. So the fact that I have no idea, but the fact that I'm not necessarily sure what's at the end, that's where the doubt creeps in. That's where the fear creeps in. So having people in your corner who can uplift you and remind you that you are good, but also separating the two. So like I said, I take pictures with my film camera, so that's my way of reminding myself, like, different compositions, different technicalities, like different things to do, why I love what I do. And then it brings me back into, like, okay, I could go back into the gym now.
Right. Got you. Now, sticking along those lines, kind of a fun question, quirky here. Every basketball player kind of has their go-to move, whether it's AI's crossover, Kobe's fade, or whatever the case may be. For you, what is your go-to signature style? What is the one thing where I can look at a Kim Toledo photo and say, oh, that's Holy Toledo there?
I think my black and white, a lot of people can tell.
Which I love,
could tell the difference.
And it's very different than what a lot of people, I think your shades and the way
it took me a year to, like, really finalize on that
completely.
preset because I didn't like skin tones in certain things.
Right.
I didn't like the way things looked, and then especially different gyms, different lighting.
Right.
So, but yeah, my black and whites. But also, you can see in the stance, like I stay in the stance everywhere at all times when I photograph. So I think my angles are definitely different and unique.
Gotcha.
But on top of that, I love putting things in my frame. So I love photographing in between somebody's arms. I love photographing like from the floor or just having a challenge. I love challenging myself. So I think if you see something that's not necessarily traditional sports photography, it's probably mine because then it's weird, it's different.
Right. What else has the game of basketball kind of provided you with outside of a way to make a living, outside of a way to kind of capture your art, and just how much has your life changed since you first started?
It's kept me sane. Being in the gym is definitely my safe haven, so it's definitely kept me on the right path. But I think growing up as an athlete, like everything that we're taught to do on the court, I translated it off the court. But I also feel that who's around you, so like family, like how you grew up definitely translates into what you do because that's how you're wired. So I think the fact that I lived in a gym, like I don't know anything else. And I get very sad when I'm not in a gym. Even if I'm not shooting around, if I'm there to photograph, like I just feel safe. So basketball has definitely given me a safety, not a safety net, but a safety feeling, like a home. It's home. Yeah, it's my consistent home that I get to find in different states, into different people's homes. It's like, it's my home.
For you, what's been the best piece of advice you've received throughout your career?
Tunnel vision. To keep your vision just straight tunnel. Because especially in today's world, on Instagram, on YouTube, on everything, people show you the gold, like the end, like the pot of gold at the end. They don't actually show you what they went through, the mental health, the emotional, the physical. So it was Courtney, actually. He was like, Kimmy, you have to stop looking left and right. You have to like take all that energy that you put into what you think is negative and put into yourself, put into your work. And that was probably the best advice that I've ever gotten, because I was worried about everybody around me either surpassing me or doing things like me or trying to be me, whereas I can't control that. So control what you can control. And what I control is myself, my work, the people, how I am with the people around me. So if I keep, and I will keep my vision just locked in, I will keep going to a higher grade than I am.
So just kind of backtracking a little bit back to, the guys you've been able to work with. What's the one thing in common that you've noticed that they've all had?
That they've all had?
That they've all had, yeah. In terms of, I don't know, work ethic or, their approach or who they are, like, is there one thing that you can kind of boil down to?
I have been very lucky to have encountered very genuine individuals, down-to-earth individuals. You look at them at their platform, at their stature, that they're obviously celebrities or bigger than us, but they're humans, they're people. So that's definitely something common that I've seen, and I would have never guessed, but I wouldn't have guessed in a scenario that I would be in the gym with, like, Carmelo and thinking of him as a friend. You know what I mean? So that's definitely something very common, but every person is different and unique, so my relationship with everybody is different. But I do try to show who I am, and I think with that being said, they show me who they are. Because it's a give and take, it's a pull, like I'm a stranger coming into their safe haven. This might be my safe haven, but this is their safe haven. This is their 2 hours to stay locked in, to work on their craft, to work on what they love. So I'm kind of like intruding. So when I step into the gym, I make sure I introduce myself. I make sure that I have like their permission to take their pictures. And then I go based off of how they are. So if they end up start talking to me, then I talk back. Or if it's like all right, we need to get our work done and leave, that's what we do. So every situation is different, but something that I have found that they're all humans, they're all people, and they're pretty awesome individuals.
And that makes a job that much easier and more enjoyable.
Definitely.
Yeah. And for you, what has been the most surprising thing that happened throughout this journey of yours? Like one thing that you really didn't expect at all and just like blew your mind completely?
That they like me in the gym. Like the fact that they are totally okay with me consistently in their bubble, taking their pictures. But, and it comes with who I am. I feel like with my energy that I bring into the gym, it's not like, oh, somebody's watching me. It's like, I try my best not to be in their eye view, in their bird's eye. So I'm always crouching. I'm always behind something. So it's like I'm not there. But yeah, the fact that I keep getting asked into the gym, I'm just like, this is awesome. You must love what I do. You must love me. And I'll just keep doing it.
Right. Now, I know for a lot of people who kind of experience a little success, they kind of tend to take their foot off the gas or they get to where they were hoping to get to, and it's like, oh my God, I got here, and they kind of plateau. For you, what is keeping you on the grind, keeping you hungry, and keeping you as consistent as you are, even going to practice before coming here, which is, if I knew, I promise I wouldn't have asked you to come.
Because I have to, because you know what I mean? I think I said it before, like, this is what I feel I'm meant to do, where I'm meant to be, and I truly believe that, and I want to be the best. I want to be the absolute best at what I do. A woman, a man, like, I want to be the best photographer that I can be. And I can't do that by taking it easy on myself. I can't do that by, you know, like, letting people surpass me. I am waiting for that draft call. I'm waiting for that 10-day sign. You know what I mean? Like, I'm working towards a dream that can evolve, a dream that I don't even know that I'm dreaming yet. Because 3 years ago, like I said, if you told me that I would even be sitting here talking about myself, I would have laughed at your face and been like, okay, I'm going to be teaching photography, not actually doing it. I would, you know? So I think the dream evolves, but the plan is still the same. The goal is still the same.
Now, speaking of Summer League, it's funny. Kia and I were actually, my girlfriend and I were watching NBA TV one day.
Oh, that's awesome.
And saw you.
Wait, no.
Yes, I swear to God. I swear, this is before, maybe, 3 weeks ago, maybe? 2.5 weeks ago.
Can I find that?
I should be able to. We're watching, and I'm like, yo, that looks like Kim, and you had glasses on at the moment.
Yeah, and I had my sunflower.
Yeah. And then she was like, so we went to Instagram, and we were like, check her story. And Instagram is so creepy where you can literally track it. It's so weird. And please don't think we're weirdos, but...
Y'all were like, yo, she was there.
And we saw the mask, we're like, oh shit, that's her. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so what was the whole Summer League experience like for you? And you got your 15 seconds of fame.
I can't even put into words. So I was actually in Vegas for a completely different reason. I went for...
Are you serious?
Yeah,
so you're in Miami for a different reason with Precious, and then... That's nuts.
So I went to Vegas for the Circuit 40 tournament that was going on.
Okay.
And actually that was weird because my friend calls me. He goes, you're on the list for the Circuit 40 camp. Like, you're going to Vegas? I'm going. Like, why didn't you tell me? And I was like, wait, what? And he goes, I saw your name. And I was like, no. And I was like, I guess I'm going to Vegas. And then he goes, okay. So then, long story short, I'm in Vegas. And then I now know that Precious, I was going to say P again. I now know that Precious is going to play with the Raptors. They were going to clear him and stuff. And then once, like, a few of the athletes that I photographed before saw me in Vegas, then they started hitting me up and was like, all right, like, I could give you a ticket to this game, this, that, and the other. And I was just like, so I'm staying in Vegas, I guess? So then that ended up happening. And I am a very blessed individual to have these guys in my corner. Like, the people that I was with were able to help me out, bring me in. I was able to have my camera. I got to, second row of the court and getting my 15 seconds of fame. But the biggest and the most amazing thing that I took out of there were the people that I met. Like, the networking, the relationships, the environment. I could never, redo that. Like, I could never re-experience that. Like, that was just an amazing, phenomenal thing. And especially for that being my first time in Vegas and my first Summer League, a whirlwind.
So, I know you got a bunch of relationships, and I know a lot of the guys that you work with were in the Summer League. Without hurting anybody's feelings, who impressed you the most? Or in Summer League, it could be somebody you worked with or somebody you didn't. But
impressed me the most.
Who was like, damn, their game is really
So it was a dream to finally see Jalen Green and Christopher play. So the fact that I got to see them firsthand and I got to photograph them and then meet their people and their lives, I was just like, wow. Like everything that came out of my mouth was wow, or like, you're here. And I'd call my mom and I was like, I'm in Vegas, right? Like, I'm actually doing this, right? Because past me would have never bought that ticket to go and do it, and I would have never been there if I kept that mentality, you know, if I kept holding myself back. But something in me knew that I was meant to be in Vegas, that I had to go there, and I was supposed to be there. Yeah.
Now, your support system, I'm assuming, is huge between people you work with, your family. How big have they been for you, and who is the person that you consistently go to lean on?
So Courtney, he's my best friend. Work, personal. I'm very fortunate to have him in my life. My mom, definitely, obviously, like that's the homie right there. That's the OG. But having somebody who does what you do and who actually understands like what you go through mentally, emotionally, and he knows how to like remind me like to put fire up my ass and be like, all right, let's do this. Like, no, like stop feeling this way. You got 5 minutes. All right, go and do it. And P and Kenny, like those guys, having them in my corner and consistently reminding me like, yo, we started together. Like, this is where you're at. We saw you where you were, and where you're at now, you've evolved. And getting reminded like, Kimmy, like you can keep going, you know, like that's just a beautiful thing. And I would never take that for granted.
Now, for you, I know, and it's so weird because like my background is in videography, but I suck at photography. And you're like you were like, I'm not that great at videography, but you're an amazing photographer. Like, can you just explain why that is? Like for me, because I really don't understand why still photography is so tough, but moving images I'm able to capture, and I know angles and things like that. What's the thing for the hold up for you?
I think it's what you start with, and I also think that has to do with your equipment, because if you start with a Canon, you're a Canon shooter. If you start with a Sony, you know. I'm not a videographer at all, and I give kudos to people who could do both. I have recently started trying videos because everybody wants both. It's hard. It's hard to translate what you know into something that's a little bit like it, but it's something completely different.
Yeah, it's like baking and cooking, I guess. It's
you're feeding people. You're giving them what they want, but it's completely different. That storytelling, I do believe is completely different, because I know how to tell a story with one image. The fact that you're giving me an hour to capture everything that's going on, and you want it in video form, I'm just like, so I'm supposed to capture the whole hour? You know, like it just doesn't translate well, but I try to watch other people. Courtney's great at video. He's my video editor. He's teaching me like, you know, Premiere ins and the outs, but if I don't pick up the camera and I try it, I'm not going to succeed. So, and that was something that I was holding myself back for. I'd be like, oh yeah, I don't do video because like I'm a great photographer, but like I was really scared to try video. And I'll be completely honest, I just didn't want to do it because I'm a perfectionist. So if the video that I put out, it sucks, I'm going to be very upset. And if you think it sucks, I'm going to be extremely upset about it. So the fact that my first video, you know, didn't come out the way I wanted it, I kind of stopped. But now I'm just like, you got to, like in photography, I have to go through the mistakes to get to where I want to be.
And, you know, when you kind of first started introducing yourself to different people or different arenas, really, was there a level of imposter syndrome that you kind of faced? Like, do I belong here? Am I supposed to be here? Or, you know, I'm just starting out and I got this crazy opportunity. Like, what does it really mean? Was that ever a reality for you?
In the beginning, because I was still photographing with what I had. I was just like, okay, I'm getting these big jobs. I'm supposed to have all this equipment.
And you had what at the time? What were you shooting with?
I was with my Canon 7D Mark III.
Okay, which is still a solid, very solid.
Yeah, I was with, I call my cameras Jesus. So I was about to say I was with him. I was with my camera for
That's
almost
how you know
6
you're a true
years.
photographer.
My Sony, I looked over, my Sony's over there. That's Jesus 2.0. Yeah, I felt it, but like I said, I have definitely evolved to a point where I can kind of talk myself out of it a little bit faster than I would have back then, because I kind of remind myself, like, no, like, you're here. Like, I actually, true story, NBA Summer League, it was like the third day, and I had gotten as close as I've ever gotten. And I'm sitting there, and I was looking at other people who had gotten their cameras in, like, you know, and then, you know, overthinking starts going. And I was like, oh, how'd they get in? Or like, why are they here? Or I saw people on the sideline. I was just like, do they work for the team? Like, who are they here for? And then I remind myself, like, that doesn't matter. You're here. And in those 5 minutes that you were thinking about other people, you missed 5 minutes of moments that you could have been photographing. Yeah. So then I remind myself, like, what I'm missing out on putting energy in them, I'm missing out on myself. So I'm hurting myself. You know, I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot. And those are moments that you can't take back. And I've realized that a lot more as I get older. As younger people, we think that we're going to be in the same job forever, we're going to be around the same people forever, this, that, and the other, but that's not the case at all. So I treat every situation like I'm never going to see it again, or I'm never going to be in that situation again. May not necessarily be the case, but if I never go back to NBA Summer League, I know that I did amazing my first Summer League, you know?
You mentioned people may not have the best equipment starting out, or they may not have the resources to do it. For somebody out there who may only have an old Canon or old Nikon, old Sony model, what is your advice to them? And, you know, are you just telling them, listen, shoot with what you got? There's a lot of people getting in mind, well, I don't have what she has, or I don't have the lens that they have. What is the true essence of an artist? Because I know, like with me, I can have, you know, all of the greatest cameras, but what can you actually do with it?
I believe that every photographer has an eye, especially a professional one. Like I said, I was with my Canon for my first year starting out into my freelance, but I was able to produce what I produced because I started with something even worse than that. So I had started with a Rebel with a kit lens with one battery, no off-camera flash, and I was able to produce the same compositions, the same feeling, the same emotion, because that's me.
Right.
And my camera didn't do all that. My camera gave me the ability to do that. It gave me the equipment to do that, but it didn't do all the work. People think that, you know, you could stand there and just sit on your shutter and then you're going to get the same emotion, but you're not, because that person wasn't fully in it. That person wasn't locked in my opinion. So yeah, if you have a point and shoot, if you have a film camera, if you found a camera in a closet, do what you can with it, develop your eye, develop your love for it, and then look for all the expensive gizmos, gadgets that you want, and then you can go from there. But the fact that I was able to produce, in my opinion at the time, great work with in a grungy gym with a really bad camera. I go to grungy gyms and I look for something completely different than I did back then. I look for lighting. I look for how something hits the benches, the floor, the net, you know? That's because that's something that I was aware of before. And that translates into with my A9. And now I'm able to, it's a little bit easier with my A9, you know, it is, but I wouldn't be producing the same stuff because I had that mentality back, you know? Like I kept that same composition, the same feeling, the same candidness now.
Now, you know, you've been in this for 3 years in a very short career, but I'm sure it feels like a super
forever.
long year. Right?
Yeah.
What are you doing now to consistently challenge yourself to, you know, just reach new levels and new heights in your career?
Taking on a new thing, so taking on videography, teaching myself new things. So I have now another point and shoot that I use that I haven't used in years, and it has a light leak that I know that it has, but I know specifically like where it happens, so I try to photograph. I just try to give myself a bunch of challenges because that keeps me distracted. It definitely keeps me happy, but it also gives me different tools and techniques that I can translate later. So actually the workout that I was in before I came here, I was practicing panning photography, so that's like a slow shutter. And that's something that is now becoming very mainstream in photography. But the gym that I was in, I knew it was going to be a lot harder because the lighting isn't in arena lighting. So I was giving myself that challenge to practice. So when I do get into a better lighting situation, I already know what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Now, I heard on the Benchmark podcast that you mentioned you were Haitian as well.
Yeah.
So I'm Caribbean myself. I'm half Trinidadian.
Oh, that's
For
awesome.
you, like, explaining to Caribbean families or parents, you know where I'm going,
Yes.
that you're taking on this career that's not as stable or, you know, not traditional. You're not a doctor or a lawyer, engineer. How was that kind of explaining to your folks and your family, like, hey, this is what I'm doing? Were they receptive or?
Yeah, well, my mom's a teacher, so I, like, that woman, extremely blessed that woman is my mom, because I definitely would not be the person that I am where I am. She didn't understand it when I was going through it in school. She kind of saw it as a hobby in the beginning. My grandmother, God rest her soul, definitely thought of it as a hobby. She was like, okay, when are you actually going to major in something that, you know, makes sense? But I think the fact that she saw how happy it made me, and the fact that it was something that I didn't lose love for, that it was something that I was meant to do. It was something that was meant to be a part of my life at any aspect, like either teaching, because I did think about teaching photography. I went for my master's. And that was definitely something that she was okay with because I was teaching. I think now that she sees, especially Vegas, I was very timid of going, but my mom was like, no, you're going to go. Like, you think this is going to be good for you? You're going to go. So she's definitely evolved into it. Now my family members, they don't understand it, but I think they see that where I'm going, like, and it sucks that it took until now of my accomplishments to get them to understand, but I'm lucky because there are traditional parents who are just like, no, you need to get me that degree and then you can do whatever you want. I didn't have to go through that. I was able to pursue what I love from the jump.
And how freeing was that for you? Like,
oh, it was amazing. And I have friends who are Haitian or Caribbean that had to, you know, kind of form their mental into what their parents wanted. And I kind of felt guilty or like felt bad, but at the same time I realized like, no, like I'm very blessed that my mom didn't just go, you're not majoring in photography. I'm paying for your school. You're not majoring for this, you know? She was more like, I'll see where it goes. She was like, okay.
And so were you. It was like,
exactly.
Yeah. So could, now looking back, could you see yourself ever doing anything else other than what you're doing?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, I went from wanting to be a gym teacher to an anesthesiologist to a teacher to play basketball, and then now I'm a sports photographer. I would have, no. But for some reason, everything that I did growing up kind of makes sense into what I'm doing now. Being an athlete, being artistic, that just didn't click until it clicked, and now it just all makes sense. It's just like, here you go.
Man. And what are you looking forward to most next in your journey?
What I can do next, or who I'm gonna meet next. I'm very excited, and kind of like the little secret gems that I have hidden right now that's going.
Can we get an exclusive or?
I don't think so. If I'm gonna be honest. Maybe in, what month are we in? September?
September, yep.
Maybe I'll shoot you like a text a week before I announce, and then you could be like, exclusive. But I have like a little bit of things that I'm working on. I'll give you a little something. So a brand, Precious's brand that I'm founded with him 2 years ago now.
What If, right?
What If Unlimited,
Yep.
So we have big ideas and big plans coming for that, so stay tuned, watch out for that, What If Unlimited. We're trying to use that platform to help give voices for others that don't, from a professional level, from people who, you know, don't believe that they can get to where they are, or they think that something is in their way, a roadblock, and like, what if they were given unlimited opportunities to get to where they want, what would they do with that? So with that being said, we're trying to give voices to everybody, from, like I said, somebody off the street to LeBron James if he wants.
And Precious has the access to do it, and so do you. So, you know what I mean?
So, and that's actually something very scary, is building a brand for somebody so phenomenal, but also working on my brand. So trying to build up two things that I love together, and those are my babies. So if the slightest thing happens, I get really upset, or like if something doesn't go my way, it's just like, it hurts. But I do believe that these two brands, these two platforms are supposed to be here. And people are supposed to get inspired and motivated from there. We're building it from the ground up.
Yeah. And for you, for somebody who doesn't have the most traditional, you know, you're not with a team, you're not with a company, you're literally, you know, doing your own thing. What has the freelance, you know, journey kind of taught you, or that grind given you?
It has taught me to take everything with a grain of salt. You can get yesed as many times as you want, but unless that action is there, it doesn't matter. It has taught me to believe in myself. It has taught me to count on myself. The freelance world is no joke, in my opinion. I don't know if anybody out there who's figured it out, but if you did, let me know, because I need the secrets. But and I do believe that the freelance world is going to kind of trickle out a lot of people who kind of picked up the camera during COVID. I do believe that the freelance world is not for everybody. I mean, I'm a substitute teacher for my side hustle. So I love what I do, and the fact that I can do what I love every single day is what keeps me going. And the fact that I get to meet people from different parts of the world able to do this, this is just things that you see in movies, or people write about, or people tell you about. The fact that I can now go home and be like, hey, I just got interviewed. Oh my gosh. You can see, I mean, actually don't come and see me, but you can go and watch it. Like, that's just things that would never come out of my mouth, or I expected to come out of my mouth. So the fact that I'm doing things that I would have never expected, or that I couldn't even think of, I mind blown myself. Like, I surprised myself. And I think that's a beautiful thing too, because if you literally have everything, just all your ducks in a row, it went exactly how it was supposed to be, you didn't go through trials, tribulations, are you actually proud of that? You know what I mean? Like, if somebody gave you all of that, is that something that you're, I don't even know, like, if you're proud of? Is that a legacy that you want to leave behind? That somebody handed you something? You know, like, don't get me wrong, if you have somebody who can help you out, if you have people in your corner, take full advantage of that. That is a unspoken thing.
But oftentimes that only comes from you putting the work in.
Exactly. Everybody believes that you have to go through this life alone, or you have to make it on your own, or you didn't make it. But when I mean, like, somebody giving you something, do the work once they give it to you. Don't just take it and then you're just like, I'm here. Like, this is it. Do the work, and then have other people come to you now. Because then that's when you know that, okay, I belong here. I evolved. I am supposed to be here. Like, that person took a chance on me because, they're my friend or whatever. They're my dad, whatever. But this other person came to me because they saw what I can do. They saw who I am. So I think that takes, and that resonates with somebody, and that'll make you feel even better. Like, okay, like, LeBron called me up. Right? Like, I mean, I hope I can say that.
Let's manifest it. That's my goal. My goal is to get at least one guest to whatever dream or goal they set on this show, to make it happen. And then I want people to come back, and I want them to find this, and I want them to say, she said this on September 6th on Labor Day. She said that she was going to shoot LeBron, and you got it. Now, I think had you here for an hour, and it really doesn't even feel like it. Hour 15, it went by super fast, and you were phenomenal. I know you said you were nervous.
Oh, very. Thank you.
You did incredible, man. Thank you so much. And please let the people know where they can find you, where they can find your work, Instagram, Twitter, wherever.
Holy Toledo. That's it. That's where I'm at. Holy Toledo photo. But I did want to say, I actually listened to my Bench Mob podcast on my way here, because I didn't want to, like, say anything stupid. But I actually said on that podcast that I wanted to photograph an NBA game, and I was at NBA Summer League, so that's freaking awesome.
Look at that. We manifested. Here we go.
Yeah, so that's pretty amazing.
All right, you got to do another podcast
Yes.
like next week and just keep doing them, man. Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is a wrap for episode 7 of the Up and Coming Podcast. Thank you for staying tuned to the end, and you know what to do. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to hit the like button, all of that good stuff. And follow us at the Up and Coming Podcast _ on Instagram. And make sure to follow Kim Toledo at Holy Toledo Photo. Thank you so much, and stay tuned for episode 8.
Yes.